These are all questions in relation to assessment,
Yep.
And it's just sort of how it plays out in the classroom.
Yep.
So, in your opinion,
Yes.
what role does assessment play?
It's huge. Assessment is pre, it's during, and it's after. But assessment basically forms the flesh of the learning that's going on.
Yeah.
The bones of it is from the Victorian curriculum.
Yeah.
But we want to test beforehand, we want to know prior knowledge, we want to know what they've got. So it helps us with inform our planning, basically.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So assessment not only informs planning, but it's purposeful because it helps structure the content of each of those lessons and the groupings
Yeah. Yeah.
around it.
Fantastic. So, how do you plan for assessment?
We plan as a team,
Great.
and the assessment that we do is universal at year 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the pre-tests, the post-tests are planned as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Anything in between that I might feel the children need a challenge with, I'll do that internally at point of need. So coming back to those initial questions, testing helps set up strategies for teaching as well. And so testing can be a pen and paper. Testing can be just with questions that you ask generally, and you're observing it from the responses of the children in the class. You're taking anecdotal notes every day in your head of how children are responding to the questions you're asking and the tasks that you're giving them.
So, how do you support student diversity with the assessment design?
Good question, very good question, because the pre-test really doesn't support diversity. It doesn't even support learning styles. There's only one learning style, it's the logical sequential, and you'll sit down and you'll complete it. So it's not individualised. I guess then at the end, the post-test is often, it should be the same as your pre-test, because that gives you your variance in between, and you can see growth or not. But the other side of that is that the post-test has to challenge those who are at a higher level of understanding. So there'll be extra questions on it, or I might ask it one-on-one in that interview or conference situation to extend that thinking, because I know that child can.
And how do you provide feedback to your students, and is that feedback important?
Very. Feedback's important at any time of the day about anything that they're doing. Feedback from testing is again, it's a challenge. I don't ever really give tests back to students to show them their results, because I don't think it proves anything. It doesn't enhance their self-esteem in most cases. It doesn't tell them anything that they probably didn't already know. But they're always very keen to know where they're at. They're always keen to know what group they're in. So they're working out where they fall. And I think if it's done in such a way that's fairly subtle, careful, it's not going to damage an ego, that's okay. And as long as we're aware that we're all individuals and we're going to grow at different rates, we're all going to learn, but at our own rate and in our own time.
So, do you promote self or peer assessment in
Yes.
the classroom?
And often that happens through inquiry. They will do the self-assessment on it, and we'll get a rubric. And we'll have, say, 3 pieces of criteria. Was it total smiley face, which is really, really good? Was it straight face? Okay. Or was it sad face? Didn't meet the grade. So very simple, very easy for them to understand, but there'll be 3 levels of ability within that. So in the smiley face, it'll be achieved all, and then say it might be for presentation, achieved all of the presentation criteria. Achieved some of the presentation criteria, didn't achieve any of the presentation criteria, and they can fill that in individually. But then I might take the same activity and ask a peer to assess it. I say, same rubric, same assessment criteria, I want your peer to assess it. And they can have quite a different opinion about your work as somebody else, as you. So often something like that, there'll be a self-assessment, a peer assessment, and then I'll assess it. And I'll do it last, because I don't want them to see what I've said about their work. A lot of them are people pleasers. They want to make sure that they've pleased the teacher and done everything the teacher wanted. But I want you to be proud of your work.
Yeah.
What makes you feel it rates here, here and here?
Yeah. And how do you moderate work?
We moderate as a team,
Mm-hmm.
and what we'll do is we'll take samples of the children's work in, and we will put that down, and then we will compare it to the rubric that we have designed as a school, and then we'll all stand around the sample. We'll look at it and say, well, is it an F.5? Is it a 1? Is it a 1.5? Is it a 2? Where does it sit within those progression points?
Yeah.
In comprehension, in purpose, in grammar, in punctuation, in spelling, in handwriting. There are about 6 different things we look at, and we'll look at that as a team. And so I might do one of my kids, and I won't assess it. I'll step back and let my colleagues assess it and see whether their assessment lines up with mine.
Mm.
Am I in the same ballpark?
Mm.
We then take from team moderation to whole school moderation, and we'll do that at a staff meeting. So you could take the same sample, and we might take 3 samples from year 2 or 10 samples from year 2. We'll put them out on a table, and we'll sit in levels from, say, have a prep, a 1 and a 2 and a 3 together, teacher. And we'll get these different samples, and we'll put them down there, and we'll get the prep to look at it, the 1 and the 3. So we go a year above and a year below. So we've got whole school moderation, which then allows us to check our teacher judgments. Are they too harsh? Are they too high? Are they in line with what the curriculum is saying? And then we look at our the progression point, and what is that saying about this child at this time of the year? And we try to assess on the merits of the piece, so we have no name on it, so you don't know the child either.
Yeah.
And it works really, really well. It's improved our data incredibly. And teacher judgments increased because you trust your gut a little bit more, because you've seen yourself have your results validated by your colleagues without them knowing what you had assessed it in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it works really well.
Okay. Fantastic.